Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinics, with physicians, physical therapists, and trainers who treat sports and performance-related injuries, with locations across the valley. More information on services and locations at stalphonsus.org/stayactive.
Idaho is a big state, and it covers a lot of territory. Idaho Matters wants to take you to every corner of the Gem State by visiting all 44 counties, and we need your help to do that. Email us your story ideas at idahomatters@boisestate.edu for our new series we're calling Idaho 44. And be sure to join us each weekday at noon and 8 on Idaho Matters and travel the state with us.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning, I'm James Dawson. Just ahead, environmental advocates continue to challenge the plan to resume gold and antimony mining in Valley County. A nonprofit striving to increase media coverage and representation for Latinos got a major grant to continue its work. And things got a little heated at this week's Ketchum City Council meeting over proposed pay hikes. It's Friday, July 25th, and here are today's headlines. Environmental advocates are continuing to go to court to challenge the plan to resume gold and antimony mining in Valley County. Troy Oppie reports.
Multiple groups sued the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality this week over its approval of an air permit for Perpetua Resources. That's the company behind the Stibnite gold mine. Opponents, who also challenged the approval process within DEQ, say too much arsenic and other contaminants are allowed from mining activities. They also question the methodology DEQ used to set air pollution limits, and they say monitoring requirements are insufficient. DEQ's Board of Environmental Quality denied previous requests to reconsider the approval. The lawsuit accuses DEQ of bending the rules to approve Perpetua's air quality permit, which they say sets a dangerous precedent for pollution limits on other mining projects in Idaho. DEQ declined to comment on active litigation. Environmental advocates are also challenging the project's water quality permit issued by DEQ and are suing the U.S. Forest Service over its approval of the Stibnite Gold project. Troy Oppie, Boise State Public Radio News.
A nonprofit organization that pays interns to work in Idaho newsrooms is expanding. Voces, whose mission is to increase coverage and representation of Latinos in the media, has received $500,000 to continue their mission. Julie Luqueta has more.
Since 2022, Voces has placed 25 Latino interns in newsrooms across the state. Last week, they received a grant from Press Forward, a media coalition working to bolster local journalism. Voces funded Daniel Ramirez's internship at the Idaho Statesman in 2023.
For them to be able to pay for me to be there was something that shocked me. Just considering the fact that most internships are unpaid.
He now works full-time for East Idaho News in Idaho Falls and is the only bilingual reporter on staff. A first-generation student, he says he never thought he'd be able to make it in the industry.
They helped me a lot, just understanding that, I can do anything I want. If I dream it, I can achieve it.
The U.S. Government Accountability Office reports Latinos are significantly underrepresented in news organizations.
There is a community that we aren't tapped into in journalism, and that oftentimes people who are Hispanic, Latinos, never interact with a journalist or don't know how to interact with journalists or don't know anybody who speaks Spanish, right?
More than half of Voces interns have received offers at the end of their internship, and many alumni are also behind the few bilingual news programs in the state.
It's something that's very cool to extend to the Hispanic and Latino community. That hey, someone cares about us to come out here and talk to us and speak to us in a language that is easy for them to understand.
A spokesperson for Voces says the $500,000 grant will help them increase recruitment in more remote areas of the state. Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
Several Voces interns have worked at Boise State Public Radio, and our own Murphy Woodhouse serves on their advisory board. Things got testy this week among Ketchum City Council members as they consider whether elected officials should get a pay raise. As the Mountain Express first reported, 2 council members proposed significant pay hikes for themselves and the mayor. One would bump council members' pay from about $28,000 a year to $50,000, while a second would peg that salary at $70,000 a year. Ketchum Mayor Neil Bradshaw says the current pay reflects the job's part-time status.
I think this is more of a calling than it is a career. I just don't like the career politician who's encouraged to do it because of the money.
But Councilmember Tripp Hutchinson, who backed the $70,000 proposal, says that's unrealistic to expect in a resort town where full-time residents are increasingly pushed out.
Most of the population cannot afford for this to be their calling.
City staff say they'll draw up proposals for council to consider. They'd have to act before August 21st, ahead of this fall's elections to follow state law. A new paper gauges how substantially prescribed fires can reduce the severity of wildfires and smoke pollution. The Mountain West News Bureau's Murphy Woodhouse spoke with its lead author for details.
Prescribed burns are widely recognized as an effective wildfire mitigation tool. Using satellite imagery, land management records, and fire emissions data, a team of researchers put hard numbers to those impacts. During the 2020 season, fires that burned over recent prescribed fires were 16% less intense and emitted 220 fewer pounds of smoke per acre.
1 ton of prescribed fire smoke reduces 3.2 tons of future wildfire smoke.
That's Makoto Kelp, a postdoctoral scholar at the Stanford Dorr School of Sustainability.
Currently, federal and state wildfire mitigation policies don't really include the potential avoided emissions from future wildfires as a benefit of prescribed fires. So including these in risk-benefit analyses could justify kind of greater investment and public support.
One more troubling finding is that prescribed fires near structures adjacent to the wildlands appear to be less effective. Kelp hypothesized that heightened caution among land managers may lead to less thorough prescribed burning near homes. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Murphy Woodhouse.
And that's it for today's episode of The Connector. I'm James Dawson, and we'll see you back here Monday. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org, or you can download the free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening.